welcome. In this video today, I'm going to be loosely sketching this image. I like to start in the middle, and for me it was that sign to the right of the door. So I'll start with that, and then I'll start working my way around. I'll start going to the left or to the right, whatever details are to either side. So I'll look at that lamp and I'll see that's just a tad below that sign, and then I'll go to the door and I see the door is just, the top of the door is just a little above that light. So I'll go ahead and put that in, and I'll only go so far down because as I noticed there's a open sign in front of the door. So if you can catch those things, it's great. Sometimes you don't and you go straight through. Don't worry, it's fine. These are fun. They're not supposed to be perfect. And then there's another sign, and that's kind of in the corner of that light. And then I'm looking to see where that canopy is. And I could see that's kind of between the light and the sign, and then above the sign to the left in the middle of that. So as you do that, it just kind of keeps you on track as you go along. Now, this image, I cropped it. So if you find an image you like, crop it. Just zero in, and you don't need to do the whole photo. I liked the door and the flowers and the bike, and the sign above I thought was really cool, so I cropped it to keep it in. But as I was sketching, I was like, well, I'm not going to have room for it. So I thought that's fine, because actually that sign is really cool, but I think it's probably better in person than in a sketch. So I think, sometimes you got to make those judgment calls and leave things out that aren't going to enhance your sketch. So I was very happy with that. I just didn't put anything above the roof line. And so as we're going, just kind of figuring out where that door circle is, or the window in the door, and putting in the little door handles. But also, I like to pick out images that I love because I'm going to be spending a little time with them. I'm going to be sketching them. They've got to bring you some joy. And if you've seen from other videos that I've done, I love striped awnings. So this one had the striped awning. It had the amazing pink door. Who doesn't love a pink door? With black trim. I mean, it's just stunning. And then you've got the whiskey barrel with the flowers and the bicycle. This is a sketcher's dream right here. This one is just so, and then you got the fence. And with that fence there, I'm kind of stalling here and there because I'm like, what do I want to do with this fence? Because it's like a little wrought iron fence with a gate, but then there's another fence behind it, and you'll see when I finish. I just simplified it. It was too busy. Maybe you might do this sketch and you might put it in and it might be great, and maybe I made a bad call, but I thought I like to keep things simple. And so as I'm doing this bicycle, you could see the bike's on an angle, so that wheel is not round, it's oval. And sometimes when we see things like that, we think round, it's got to be round, it's a wheel. But a lot of times when they're on angles like that, well, most of the time, it's an oval. So go ahead and put that oval in, that wheel. And the last sketch I did, I didn't narrate it, and it was called a hotel called the White Elephant, and there was a bicycle, there was a black striped awning in that. It was a very nice, simple image to do, and I loved it. And there was a bicycle in it, And in the video, which I just sped up, I didn't narrate, I just put it to some music, I penciled out the bike because I wasn't feeling that confident. But today I just went in. I didn't practice this sketch before. I think I was just feeling it. I was in the groove, and it turned out. Because a lot of times, if I'm going to do a sketch on a nice piece of watercolor paper, I'll grab my little journal that just has regular paper, and I'll sketch it out in ink really quickly just to get a feel for it and feel comfortable. And that way when I go in on the watercolor paper, I I have confidence. But today I just was in a mood, and it worked out. It was a good day. But any sketching day is a good day. So I do sketch every day. I want to see by the year's end how things change, and that's kind of why I started this video, or excuse me, this channel, because as I look back at my videos in a year, I'll get to really see the improvement, hopefully, of my style and where it goes. So I'm really excited about that. And I like to just fade off my sides. I don't go to the edge of the paper. I just go to I leave about an inch border around where I am sketching. I like that look. So here's that fence. It's really, like I said, there's a little gate in front of a fence. And if you see behind the bicycle, that's the fence that goes across that gate that I'm putting in right now. And I just decided to leave that out because it's really busy. And we're loosely sketching. These lines don't have to be straight. A lot of time, just having loose lines it's just more visually appealing. It's just doesn't have to be perfect. And that's what I love about it, because I have a little bit of a shaky hand as it is. And a lot of times I have coffee. Coffee doesn't help. But just not having a real steady hand, loose sketching is perfect for me because nobody would know. And this sketch took me about an hour to do, and I just did one speed up, just a little bit, because I just didn't want you to be here all day. So it took me about an hour, and I sped it up just a little bit, and so it's a 33-minute video. And by speeding it up, I think you can't see my hand shaking so bad. But I've always had that. I really envy sketchers that just get these beautiful straight lines and beautiful circles, and when it comes to lettering, yeah, that's another challenge. But loose sketching is for me. I found my niche, and it's so much fun. And this reference photo, okay, stop there, because what happened was, normally if you've seen in other videos that I've done, I will just outline the window, and then I'll do I'll take a pencil and I'll pencil out the window frames, because it's white, as you can see. And then I'll leave the paper white, and I'll go and do little squares in gray or black or whatever, or paint. And today I started penning out those window frames, and I stopped myself because I don't want to do that. So I wasn't the happiest with the window in this sketch. So I do in the future want to do maybe at like an 8 or 9 month time frame. I want to like start over and resketch all the sketches I started with from the beginning of my channel and then compare them, which will be so interesting, and see where they go. So then I would know, okay, my takeaway from this one, the window, let's not do that. And I could do it correctly. Oh, and you see I put the arrow the wrong way. But that's okay. So then I could do whatever I didn't like on the first sketch, I could correct it and do it the way I think it should be on the second sketch. So I'm looking forward to doing that someday. So just putting the little details on that fence, that gate. And I left the little barrel to the left with the flowers out. Could have probably squeezed that in, but I liked the pink door, and then the planter and the flowers in the bike basket, just as the 3 pinks. That was enough. Oh, and I did find this image came across last night. I was on Instagram. I always like late at night start scrolling reels in Instagram, and my husband's in the other room, and we send reels back and forth. We're both laughing out loud at these funny people that do these reels. They're just so incredibly talented and funny, and we both are laughing from the other room, sending each other reels. It's just, times have changed. It's just so funny. But this photo came up. It was a guy was talking about this restaurant, which is called, oh shoot, let's see, I forgot. Okay, I got it. It's called the White Oak Cottage Bistro and Boutique. And this gentleman last night on Instagram was talking about the amazing food they have. And it's near Tampa in Lithia, Florida. And so it's a little boutique, and the shopping in there looks amazing. I would love to go there. And the food looked just, I think they got like an amazing chef. So when they showed the image, I'm like, oh my God, look at that pink door and that awning. So I looked it up, found a couple of images online, and picked my favorite one. And this one was the winner. And I cropped it down, like I said. And I just had to do this one today. But that's a lot of how I find my Florida themed, whether it's bars or restaurants, is on Instagram. Instagram, Pinterest, or I'll just look up a particular place I know or have heard of and look for the best image. And that door, it was so funny. Let's see, what does that door say? That door said, the sign to the left of the door, it says Home for Spoiled Women's Entrance. Isn't that funny? Yep. They got it right. Because you just would probably go in there and go crazy shopping and eating. This might be the boutique entrance, and the other, there might be a different entrance for the restaurant. But I'm definitely going to go there and check this out. So that was a little stained glass window in the door, and I just did just a few lines and some arrows. And so now I'm using my alcohol-based ink markers. They're called Artist Loft, and I've got a light gray, a medium gray, and a black. And I love doing some detail work after I do the pen work with the marker or markers. And being alcohol based, they won't smudge when I put the watercolor on. They're going to stay put. And that black marker is great for this one here. This black marker is great for those details, thicker details. I don't have black watercolor paint, and I could mix up something similar, but I just like the deep black of the marker. And see how easy it is just to do something like this? And I'm not even staying in the lines. I'm just going nice and loose. Some of that pen work is still showing. And here, this is what I was talking about with the pencil. Now, I normally would have just done pencil, and then I would have taken a smaller tip marker, like a Tombow, which is not waterproof, but I wouldn't have put any watercolor there. And I would have gone in between those circles to do the window panes. But I did okay. I kind of had to rig it a little bit at the end, and when we get to it, I'll share what I did. So those windows have a little glare in them. So I'm trying to kind of get that. So you can see I'm kind of staying in the little squares that I put in. And then I'm going to trim that out. Now normally for windows, I love Payne's Gray watercolor. But today, I wanted to try something a little different. And I wanted to do the alcohol-based marker. And it's okay. I think I like the watercolor better for windows. It's softer, even though those windows are black, and most of the time if you're looking at a reference photo, the window's going to be black, but I like them a little bit softer. But I think the black, it looks okay with the other black parts of the painting. So we're going to go in. I love pink. Put that pink door in. Now that pink door was a little bit lighter. It was a softer pink, but I like pink. I like a shocking pink, so I went in with bright, bright pink. Because it's my painting, and I could do it. So I was going to go to those flowers, but then I thought, no, I'm going to do the green first. I'm going to pop in the green leaves, and then I will let that dry. And that pink was an opera pink. It's a beautiful color, beautiful pink, opera pink. And then the green that I'm using is a sap green, cadmium yellow, and a little bit of yellow ochre. And so now I'm adding a little bit more sap green to the mix that I had on my palette and dropping that on top. So with watercolor, you always want to start light and work your darks on top of it, because you can never go lighter. You can if it's wet, you can pull some of the paint off, but yeah, so you always want to start lighter. And this is my Payne's Gray. I love Payne's Gray for shadowing. I'll either use the marker or I'll use the Payne's Gray, but lately I've been a little more drawn to doing Payne's Gray for shadows. It's so pretty. Such a pretty gray. And with watercolor, the marker's translucent too, but it's a great color. So I'm gonna do that whole building. I'm not gonna leave it white. But it was just too dark. So I'm trying to water down that Payne's Gray as much as I can. And nope, nope. And there, I just wet the brush down a lot, and then I'm spreading that out. And that looks better. A little shadowing on that awning. Shadows are, so I went over the whole window with Payne's Gray. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white gouache paint, which is an opaque paint, and I'm going to put those window framing, the white window frame back in with the white gouache, which I use in a lot of my paintings because I use them for the little light bulbs or little details that are a pop of white. And that way you can, because white watercolor paint isn't going to show. And the gouache paint is a really opaque, like I said. And you could go right over anything with that, and it's going to cover. So there's a little rust on that bicycle that's been sitting out there probably for a while. I just stinking love a bicycle with a basket of flowers. Isn't it just adorable? So I'm doing a burnt sienna for the bicycle rust, and then I was doing the little metal rings around the barrel, but that I didn't like that, so I added a little bit of burnt umber to the well, I haven't gotten there yet. I'm going to add a little burnt umber on top of that orange in a moment. Or maybe later. So I'm going to put the pink flowers in with the opera pink, and I didn't water that paint down very much. I wanted it pretty concentrated so that it's really bright. That was the watered down Payne's Gray I just went around that bike with, just so it's not so white. And the hardware was a little bit of a rusty color, so I like to stick with just a few colors on my paintings, you know, 4 or 5 colors, and that way I can just bounce them around, and it gives the painting harmony by just bouncing the same colors around. Use a little yellow that was left over on my palette for the light bulbs. So here is the gouache white paint. You could see it's really nice coverage. And I'm just going to go back over that and put that white back in there. And then that takes a minute to dry. So I actually stopped filming for a second and I took the blow dryer to it to dry that so that I can go back inside those squares again, and so that white isn't so thick. And a little white gouache dot of white in those light bulbs is always nice. That's the tube of paint there on the left. I don't know if you can see it because I might have the image. Oh, well, yeah, you'll be able to see it because I made the image smaller. So back to the Faber-Castell 0.1. It's a really nice fine tip, and you can see I'm just going to kind of neaten those windows up a little bit, trying to make that work. And the paper, if your paper starts getting a little warped, just pick it up and bend it back and forth, straighten it out a little bit. So I'm going to take that same pen, it's a 0.1, and I'm going to outline that whole bicycle so that it pops. Like I've said before, that when you put watercolor over your ink, it kind of dulls it. So I like to reintroduce that ink again, follow the same lines I had down, just to brighten up anything that I lost. And when it's hard to see it sometimes, like for some reason, as I'm sketching, the painting isn't as bright. But when you see it at the very end, it was at the beginning, and then the same image, the painting that's finished, in the end and the beginning of the video, it's so much brighter, and you can definitely then see that line work when I take an image with the phone and then put that up for you guys to see. And I think I mentioned it at the end of the video. I have a little 1-minute clip on how to change out the Lamy Safari ink. So if you're interested, stay tuned and watch that. It's only a minute long. Outlining the door. So usually when I do that pen work at the end with the Faber-Castell, I kind of do the edges of the building, edges of doors, windows, anything that kind of lost its brightness from the watercolor. Like here, I'm going to outline that roof line. Yeah, see, it makes such a big difference. And the open, kind of lost that. And there's little writing underneath, so just dots of, make it look like lettering. ink and watercolors, just so beautiful together. And I put some little hatch marks in the windows, so it looks like streaks. Some dots in the flowers. And I'm trying to figure out, what does it need? What does it need? I'm almost done. And then rocks. I love gravel. There was a little gravel in the sides of that walkway, so I just put tiny, tiny little circles and some just dots of the pen. And it's a really nice little extra. Something so simple. And then I'm going to put some splatters in on top of this, and you just want to wet your brush down really wet and pick up some of that paint. I usually will pick up 2 colors that are in my sketch. I'm doing a green, and just tap it. You could tap it on your finger and just splatter it. It makes a mess. It gets everywhere. And then I'm doing a little bit of the pink. So I got the pink and the green. I love pink and green together. I love pink and orange too. Those are my favorite colors. So here is the finished sketch. I think it turned out really nice. It's fun, it's colorful, it's loose. How could you go wrong when you start off with a reference photo like that? So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave me your question in the comments, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And I hope you got a little something from this video that you can use for your future sketches. And I want to thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. So I'm going to be sharing that Lamy pen. It's a minute long, so if you're interested, it's right after this. So here's the Lamy pen, the ink cartridge that goes with the Lamy pen, and Noodler's waterproof ink. Look at that little cowboy on the box riding a catfish. Oh my God. Too cute. I'm going to keep this box just because I love it. I'm not going to throw that box out. So you can get all 3 things on Amazon. So you want to take this little cartridge and you want to squeeze that plunger all the way down and then dip it in the ink. I'm trying to get my hands out of the way here. Dip it in the ink and then just twist it the other way and it will suck up the ink for you. And just keep twisting till it stops, and then it's going to be all inky, yucky, and so just grab a piece of paper towel and just wipe that off. Now my ink is getting low, so I have a smaller container that I keep my ink in, and that's what I refilled from the other day, because you can't dip that far into that bottle because it's 3 ounces. So I had the other ink cartridge in there already, so I just pulled that out. There's a little dot right there on the side. You want to line that up and just push it in till it clicks, and then just screw that back on. And I was already using the other ink in there, so I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap paper and just keep scribbling until I get that water soluble ink out of there, and I'll test it with some water and make sure. But that's it. So I hope that was helpful. Have yourself a great day. Bye for now.